Hi Lisa, I'm here with my 40 count even weave working on Bear Time Stories, and this is 1/1 half stitches. So I thought I would share I guess just how I do half stitches. I think that maybe was your main question, and I think I have a video already on my channel where I'm doing half stitches, so you can take a look at that too. But basically the first leg, when I'm headed to the right, I guess, I stitch like I would normally stitch my cross stitches, where I start in the bottom left and go to the upper right, like I'm doing, I guess maybe they call this, I don't know what they call it, where you do the first leg first and then you go back and cross it. So basically I'm just doing the first leg and then I just don't go back and cross it. And the back of the stitches are up and down. And then when I'm coming back, the next row, I start at the top and I go down to the bottom. So it's basically the inverse of the stitch. Start in the top and go back to the bottom, because you want all of the half stitches to lay the same direction. And then those also have up and down in the back. It's hard when there's only 1 or 2 stitches to be looking at, but then this one I'll go back the other way, starting at the bottom and going towards the top. It does seem like with a half stitch you can be a lot more flexible with your path. Some of the biggest things I like to consider are, like, you don't want the stitches to slip underneath the weave, so keep your tension loose. But you also sometimes, like, you don't want to come up in the same hole you just came down, obviously, because then your previous stitch would come out. So you got to kind of get creative to stitch upside down every once in a while, and just to kind of keep the stitches from falling out. So I don't know, it's kind of a trick. It's not necessarily, especially in confetti on these full coverage pieces, it's not going to be always slanting this way and then slanting this way, back and forth with all your rows, because you've only got a stitch here and a stitch there. Let's go down to this next row. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 6. It is a little harder to count on Bertle because it is this 40 count, because it's so small. So hopefully I'm going to do this okay, especially with the camera in front of me. Let's double check that. All right, so I think I'm good. If I'm doing stitches that are like up and down, I'll tend to do them in a way that will make the back stitches horizontal. So like in this case, I don't know, I actually kind of just play around with it and change it constantly. So I guess I'm not very helpful, but to give you just a rule of thumb. But maybe if you just watch my path, it'll make sense. Sometimes you can pick things up just by seeing. Definitely ask me questions, because maybe I can make another little clip that demonstrates something more specifically. It would be fun to stitch together sometimes, but I know the time difference is pretty big, so I'm not sure when we would both be available. Because then we could talk and ask questions in real time. But if that interests you, let me know. Maybe we could figure out a time we could stitch together on like Facebook Messenger or I don't know what. Let's see. I kind of just follow the path of the stitches in a way that keeps them wrapping around themselves rather than having elongated stitches. They're like coming in on themselves a little bit, if that makes any sense, to keep them wrapping nicely around the fabric rather than stretched out, because that also helps your future stitches. But I'm not super picky about it because sometimes that doesn't happen. Don't know if I want to go over here. I might want to come back up to the top. Yeah, let's go over here. So I'm using a tiny needle. I think this is a size 28. I might even have a smaller one on one of my other projects of with this fabric that's like a really fine sewing needle, just because it does get really small on the back. And I do all of my stitching where I just run my thread under the back. So if you have a better way, like waist knots or whatever, you could do that if you'd like, if that's something you're doing already. Because it is hard to get underneath the single stitches. Let's see if I can show you some of the backs. You can see the vertical lines here from these stitches. I might give you a demonstration real quick here up at the top. So this is how I stitch. This is bottom to top. Just do like maybe 5 each way, just so you can have a. And this is, I don't know what this is called. If this is just, I think this is just a half stitch. I don't know if it's called a tent. And then when I'm coming back the other way, I'll start at the top and then go to the bottom. So basically do the reverse of what I was doing before. And then the back is up and down vertical stitches. If you were to do what people call continental, you start in the direction you're going on the top and you come back on yourself. And then you start in the direction you're going and then come back. This does create better coverage on the back. So when you use this on needlepoint and you're using a mesh canvas, it creates better coverage. But when I tried this on one of my pieces that was a 25 count, and then coming back the other way, you would start on the bottom because it's the direction you're going. It was really, really fixed and tight because both the front and the back are going the same direction with the slant of your stitch, and so it's pulling the fabric like twice as much, and it wouldn't adjust. I tried to like stretch it to fix it and it wasn't even shifting at all. So see, the coverage on the back is thicker and nicer coverage, but it is the same direction, the same slants, because these slants are going this way on the front and they're going this way on the back. So it's extra slanty. So by the time you're done with the project, everything is really skewed. And I don't know, some people say that doing continental tent makes it so that you're not skewed as much, but everything I've found makes it more skewed, more warped. So I don't like doing that. I've heard basket weave is a really good one, a really good tent stitch for not warping your fabric, but I've never bothered to learn it because full coverage is very rarely solid blocks of color, at least in the patterns that I choose. And it seems like doing a basket weave would be complicated with like onesies and twosies here and there. So maybe if at some point I have a big swath of color, I'll learn it, because that doesn't warp your fabric as much from what I've heard. So anyways, so yes, I have heard people like stitching on 40 count linen as well as even weave, because it's maybe a little bit stiffer of a fabric than this even weave is. So if you have trouble with the even weave because it's too soft, maybe you could try linen if you want to do your piece on 40 count but you didn't like this type of fabric. Maybe that'll be the secret sauce for you. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, when I stitch, like, yeah, I just kind of follow a path that's, I don't know, I might just do a few more stitches here and you can just keep watching to see how I do it. Oh no, I was hoping I could reuse this string, but maybe I can't now, because I didn't catch it all. Yeah, that's too bad. I'm gonna have to get another one. But there's really no, at least right now in the color that I'm using, there's no like perfect back and forth area for me to demonstrate what I'm doing and what the different kinds of stitches are. But maybe I'll stitch here just a little bit more and you can watch. And then if you have any questions, want me to demonstrate something else, I have another pattern that does have a lot of background, my birdsong piece, and I could work on that for you sometime. This is just the project I happen to have out right now. Actually, I have another project I'll be working on later in the week that will have big blocks of color too. So if you really want to see more of the blocks of color, let me know and I can make another video when I'm working on that one. Alright, so let's try to secure this. Again, if this is too fiddly for you, you could try something like a waist knot, which I've never bothered to learn either. There's a lot of different techniques that I'm too set in my ways, and it's just like, I don't want to learn something new. I'll just keep doing it this way. But maybe you've adopted some of those things already. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 in between. Okay. So now I'm going to come back. Sometimes I do fiddle with them a little bit and make sure to keep my tension light so that they don't look like that, so that the slant is covering the X more, because sometimes it'll get kind of wonky. Yeah, like right here, it's probably not the best idea to do it because it might slip, but if you keep your tension light enough, you can get away with a lot of things you probably couldn't normally, where it would slip under the fabric. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3. And this one is under that. I always double check and line it up with this one. Eventually I could maybe come over and line it up with that. A lot of people ask how I count, which it's counting cross stitch, so that's kind of a funny question, but you do a lot of full coverage already, so I think you're good in that regard. I think I'm good there. I think you use Pattern Keeper too, right? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Definitely a game changer. Makes it a lot more freeing to just go wherever you want to in a piece, which is really fun. Like on this piece, I'm doing it extreme cross country. I'm doing all of this color first. All right, so let me double check my count here. That's lined up with that one. It's got 16. Okay. So let's double check this. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right. Sometimes I'll go up, like here I'm going to go up farther than to the top of the stitch and come back, just so that, because I'm going to the next one and I want to be able to like curl the stitches back on themselves, because then they make the stitches look a little neater. So I don't know, I wasn't exactly sure what to cover to explain to you anything, but I hope that was helpful, and feel free to let me know if you want to see more and what type of thing you want to see, if so, and whether or not you want to stitch together, because that could be fun too. Like if we come across something we want to share or say in person. So I think I'll move over to another spot now and sign off for now, but definitely let me know how you're getting on and if that was helpful. Hopefully I wasn't even more confusing to you, but I am very loose with the rules. I don't really have a lot of rules, other than in the big blocks, you know, I'll go this way and then this way with my stitches. But when I'm onesie twosieing it around the pattern, it kind of varies as I go. So, and I thought you'll probably get your groove as you get into it. So let me know, and I hope you have a good day. Happy stitching. Bye.